Good morning and welcome to the regular meeting of City Council for Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Reverend Burgess. Here. Mr. Coghill. Ms. Gross.
Here.
Mr. Kraus. Mr. Lavelle.
Here.
Ms. Strasburger.
Here.
Ms. Warwick.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mrs. Kale-Smith, President.
Here.
7 members present.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Our next order of business is to amend the agenda. Is there a motion to amend the agenda?
So moved.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is amended. And our next order of business is proclamations. We have none to be presented and none to be read into the record. Our next order of business is public comment. I would like to remind everyone that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before City Council. Profanity will not be permitted. When you are called to speak, please state your name and neighborhood for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Our first registered speaker is Joanna Deming.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joanna Deming. I live in Perry Hilltop, and I'm the Executive Director of the Pittsburgh Food Policy Council. I want to thank you for your investment in the Food Justice Fund as of city budget and the ARPA funds to address food apartheid and food disparities in our communities, especially where I live in Perry Hilltop. And I want to thank Councilwomen Gross and Warwick and Ms. Kale-Smith for your leadership as well and moving forward the plan over the past 6 months. Thank you. And a special thanks to the Mayor's Office as well for their support. And also the many volunteers and the members of the Food Justice Fund Committee that you'll hear from today that have been engaged and that are waiting for this plan to be adopted so that we can move forward and start meeting the needs of our communities and advancing food justice. So, as we've talked about, this fund is needed to address food apartheid, communities impacted by structural racism, and prioritize projects led by Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people historically marginalized. We're excited about the potential impact that this fund is going to have. This proposed plan prioritizes investments in grassroots community-led groups and provides opportunities for larger scale system-wide investments. The plan is designed to provide technical assistance and support to help people, especially grassroots groups, to apply for the funds and access the funds for their communities. In my community, the Food Justice Fund could support things like Ballfield Farm, the Work Cafe on the Corners, looking to expand to the Avenues of Hope, Pittsburgh Higher Ground Ministries, and the ecology programs at the Pittsburgh Project, and more. We hope the city will continue to support and adopt the Food Justice Fund plan as soon as possible so that we can start moving forward. Thank you so much.
Madam President, apologies. I am present.
Joined by Councilman Kraus. Our next speaker is Tiara Collins.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tiara Collins, and I'm from the Hill. First, I do want to thank everyone for being here and letting us come down to talk today. And we do truly thank you from the bottom of our hearts for accepting this Food Justice Fund. I am a board member for the Pittsburgh Food Policy Council. And for me, I just want to know, like, moving forward, how long this is going to take, because this is going to help lots and lots of communities, especially in neighborhoods where there's brown people. And I'm looking forward to what it's going to be able to do for neighborhoods that have brown people in it. Low-income people, it doesn't make a difference what color they are, but I know for brown people it's really important so that they're able to get those fresh fruits and vegetables that they need to be able to eat healthy. As a mom with a child who's had to be able to eat healthy, you know, it means a lot to me because this will be make access for us to be able to go to our corner stores and be able to buy the things that we need and not have to get the things that are there because we have no choice. Just making sure that our families are being able to access good foods and, and not have to travel an hour on buses and stuff to get what they need. It's very important because everything in those neighborhoods, there's nothing accessible. There's nothing there for them. And it's really important because when we got these people who are trying to build farms and stuff, they're being able to access the food and they're giving it to the neighbors. They're not charging them a bunch of money. Like when you go into the grocery stores, I think a head of cabbage is what, like $3. A head of cabbage used to be 69 cents. So making this stuff accessible for everybody in neighborhoods where it's needed is going to really count. And I know the importance of it, and I know you guys have too, because you guys have adopted in your plan. So I'm just looking forward to when we're going to be able to move forward and how much longer it's going to take. I thank you for your time, and I'm done.
The next registered speaker is Pastor Latour Love, Sr.
Right here?
Yep, right there.
Am I pointing in the right direction?
Yeah,
All right.
you're right there.
Praise the Lord, everyone. I would like to thank you, Honorable Councilwomen and men, for taking this time out with us today. And I'm Pastor Latour M. Love Sr. I am the pastor of Praise Temple Deliverance Church in Hazelwood. I'm also the co-founder and Vice President of the Greater Hazelwood Coalition Against Racial and Ethnic Disparity. Along with that, I serve as co-chair of the Food Justice Fund Committee. I'm here to ask for your support to continue on with the plan and to pass the plan that all of us, both city and city officials as well as residents in the community, worked very hard to put together. The plan is one that will allow us to address food apartheid on a very high level in the communities that really need it, and to prevent it from happening in other communities. The two-tier type of funding that's being offered here, well, the first tier will allow grassroots organizations and people working with the city lot program, the farmer lot program, and other type of low-level type of agricultural programs that's going on in the communities. It will allow young people to learn how to grow food and learn the importance of eating healthy. The second tier will allow more infrastructure type of programming and projects to take place. And in the community, such as in Hazelwood, where we're now trying to put a grocery store where we don't have one. The project will support that kind of project in Hazelwood, as well as other community-based programming that farming type of programming that's going on. All over the city, we know that food access is a problem, and we suggest that maybe the city even create a food access or food apartheid committee or department that focuses on food and healthy foods as well. We know that it should be placed on the same level as housing, workforce development, and all the other important aspects of what the city government operates on. We think the food should be raised up high on that level. So again, I'd like to thank you and taking time out and giving us this opportunity. And I'm here to support all the other members and residents that will be supporting it, speaking in support of the Food Justice Fund. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Dana Dolney.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name is Dana Dolney. I am a resident of Polish Hill, and I work at Just Harvest as the grassroots organizer, where I focus on community engagement and food access. First, I want to thank City Council members that worked and met with members of the Food Justice Fund Coalition, Director Vargas, and the Mayor's Office for bringing this plan to fruition here today. I am fortunate enough to live in a food-secure district. I live in Deb Gross's district, and I have a car. Unfortunately, many of our friends and neighbors that live in the communities surrounding mine and across the city do not. Since the beginning of the pandemic, I've worked across the city of Pittsburgh in a number of our food apartheid communities and food deserts. I have seen the worst of circumstances take a toll on those communities already at a disadvantage because of years of disinvestment and lack of access to affordable housing, food access, and transit. But I've also seen that struggle bring out the best of these communities, where community leaders and grassroots organizations have stepped up to fill the need and the gap and make real change and real work towards food sovereignty and food justice. Not just through food distribution and community gardens, but through urban agriculture, healthy corner stores, co-ops, and inventive food hubs. Just to name a few, there's many more, trust me. I now have a much greater understanding of what food justice means in these places and to its residents, and it has greatly affected the scope of our programming and work at Just Harvest as well. We understand that there's not a one-size-fits-all solution for a neighborhood, and so we now work to create community-led solutions because members who live and work in these areas understand and know best how to address the problems. But they need support and they need capacity building funding to catapult those efforts. The Food Justice Fund will do just that. It will help with boots already on the ground to create a safer and healthier community, and a safer and healthier community is one that includes food access in the infrastructure, city planning, and recreation of its main streets. I ask that you can expedite the approval of this plan to get the proposal out to the communities that need it most. A few examples of projects and communities that would benefit from this funding that I'm currently working around. In Homewood, we have a co-op that could greatly expand, and we're talking 30, 40 years without any fresh produce in this community. This funding could help get that co-op off the ground. Allentown, we've been working over there currently. We have the Soil Sisters who have the opportunity to acquire land, grow food there, start a small grocery, all with the community's support right now. We have the West End, where we have incredible women who have been working tirelessly in a food apartheid area to create the first ever minority-owned woman corner store that she grows the food that she is selling there. We at Just Harvest have now partnered with her to help expand that effort, and we are using her grown vegetables in the West End and in the North Side now to supply all of our corner stores that are offered in the city. We can see this growing. Thank you for my time. I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Renita Smith. Renita Smith. Renita Smith, last time. No one online? Heather? No? Next speaker, Carolyn Casavan. Carolyn? No? Danelle Houston.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Danelle Houston, and I'm the Executive Director of Grove Pittsburgh. Grove Pittsburgh is an urban agricultural nonprofit, and we support community gardens, school gardens, urban farms, and backyard gardeners throughout the city of Pittsburgh. I also serve on the Pennsylvania Food Policy Council Advisory Committee, and I have served on the Food Justice Fund Committee and the Food Justice Fund Task Force, and have been working diligently to ensure the voice of urban agriculture is represented in the plan. Thank you for your investment in the Food Justice Fund to address food apartheid and the disparities in food access that exist across the city. We especially want to thank Councilwoman Gross and Warwick for their involvement on the Food Justice Fund Task Force. And thank you to the Mayor's Office for his support, and I want to thank Director Vargas for her support and collaboration throughout this process. Grove Pittsburgh is dedicated to ensuring that funds reach grassroots communities and projects. The need is clear through the work that we already do. Grove Pittsburgh operates a microgrant program called the Sustainability Fund, and that Sustainability Fund supports food growing projects that are already existing with both technical and infrastructure support. In our earliest spring round this year, we received over $65,000 in requests already. We have another round coming up. We're trying to make sure that we can help at least everyone with that project, but this Food Justice Fund will make sure that we will have the funds to support all of our community gardens. There are over 120 community gardens that we know of, and more happening every day. These community gardens support and increase food access and security, and they create job opportunities, workforce development, and community gathering spaces. We also support food growing projects and life-sustaining projects. We work to support urban farms, we especially want to support urban farms run by Black and brown growers throughout the city. One project I want to highlight is our cooperative with the Homewood Farmers Market. The Homewood Farmers Market is run by Black urban gardeners and farmers of Pittsburgh, Bible Center, Oasis Farm and Fishery, Sankosa Community Farms, and Grow Pittsburgh. It is a weekly market and is really the only access of fresh produce in Homewood currently. This investment will allow us to hopefully extend and do year-round produce. The market also supplies opportunities for vendors and focuses on health and wellness for the community. This plan has been developed by and has support from racially and geographically diverse group, and I hope that you will continue to support it today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller. Good morning, Dr. Miller.
Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller, Belsuver, Prague, Czech Republic. Global Intelligence Society, U.S. National Candidate, Shugaba, that's Hausa, 2024. Vote by voter verification for whom and freedom of speech uncensored in public comment are key to what I do. Are there any Nigerian Mbiru, Japanese shamisen, Spanish guitars, Indian sitars in this room? Concern of Council's public comment 3.4.c, Pittsburgh, City Council, PCC, the Rules of Council, ROC. PCC, ROC is not law. The Pittsburgh Home Rule Charter is law. Public comment is regulated by PA state law, Title 65.88, and the PA Constitution and the United States Constitution. Neither the Pennsylvania state law nor Pittsburgh City Council ROC prohibits use of music to accompany a citizen public comment or to be public comment. In my email 22 June 2023, registering for public comments 28 June 2023, I wrote, during one of my public comments, I may play an excerpt from a piece of music relevant to a concern or resolution of council, sans profanity. I see nothing in the rules of council prohibiting my doing so. No negative from the Office of Council regarding music inclusion signifies yes. There was no negative from Ashley Robinson, Assistant Clerk, confirming my public comment via email, my registration for public comment on 22 June 2023. There was no negative from Clerk Clark Baskin, who passed by me and my trumpet and a witness outside the council room on 28 June 2023. Good morning, Dr. Miller, she said. No negative. But there was a negative inside the council room by Mr. Lavelle. No quorum with a cohort of IQ below 80 lawyers. No music, Dr. Miller, no trumpet, no music in public comment. Citizens, please understand this. Pittsburgh City Council bans, according to this, bans singing and playing the U.S. national anthem during public comment. This action, in our view, is illegal. It violates Pennsylvania state law. It violates the Pennsylvania Constitution and the United States Constitution. This is schizophrenic. On the one hand, yes. On the other hand, no.
Next speaker is Meg O'Brien.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Meg O'Brien. I'm the Director of Economic Development at the Hilltop Alliance, and today I'm speaking on behalf of Allentown. The Allentown CDC residents, community members, and business owners have expressed the need for more access to fresh food in their neighborhood. There are business owners and community members willing to take on projects that help address this need, and supporting them with funding and resources like this is critical for their success. In March 2023, the Allentown CDC and Leadership Pittsburgh launched a community survey with nearly 100 responses via the forum as well as one-on-one interviews. 11% of respondents to the survey mentioned a fresh food/grocery store as the biggest challenge that the neighborhood currently faces. On May 3rd, we had an Allentown food access strategy meeting and had 30 community members discussing previous projects, lessons learned, community needs, and support for future projects around fresh food access. Just recently, in June, there was a second meeting that had 25 attendees. There's a continued interest and initiative to bring more fresh food access to the Hilltop. The working group will continue to meet quarterly with the Allentown CDC, Just Harvest, Hilltop Alliance, and Leadership Pittsburgh, volunteering their time to support efforts. As Dana mentioned, we have the Soil Sisters that are having a project ready to get off the ground, and this funding would really help bring community visions to reality. So thank you for your time, and I hope that the funding comes through.
Thank you. Kathy, I'm going to say the name wrong, so I'm going to spell it Hrabovsky. Please pronounce it when you come, so I remember next time.
Kathy Rabovsky.
Rabovsky, thank you.
Thank you to the City of Pittsburgh's Mayor Ed Gainey, to the City Council, and to Director Vargas for this opportunity to speak in support of the Food Justice Fund, and to Food Council Executive Director Joanna Deming for inviting my organization to the table. Please allow me to introduce myself as the Development and Program Manager with Pennsylvania Interfaith Power and Light, or PAIPL as we more affectionately call ourselves. We are a statewide organization, and I am based here in southwestern Pennsylvania to support our work in this region. PAIPL seeks to inspire and mobilize people of faith and conscience to take bold and just action on climate change, particularly in environmental justice communities, because these people are disproportionately affected by climate change. Through environmental education, sustained advocacy, creation care, and direct actions, PAIPL strives to promote stewardship, creation care, and the use of clean and renewable energy. Our climate advocacy and creation care work are key points that include working against food injustice. Between 2021 and 2023 alone, PAIPL received and successfully administered 3 one-year environmental protection, PA Department of Environmental Protection EE grants, and 1 Growing Greener Plus grant, 2 grants from Duquesne Light, and other local organizations such as First United Presbyterian Church. We have successfully planted and maintained with this funding over 50,000 trees and over 1,500 blueberry shrubs in southwestern Pennsylvania. We have engaged more than 500 people in our DEP-funded work, caring for creation with PAIPL. But what we have learned through our work is that creation care and environmental justice communities can often not accommodate trees due to limited space, so we focus quite a bit on planting blueberry shrubs as a tree substitute. Not only do they provide the benefits of typical trees, such as stormwater retention on site, improved air quality, reduction of the heat island effect, increased property value, reduction of urban blight, but they also provide access to delicious and nutritious food for people and or native animal species. These blueberry shrubs can yield as much as 20 pounds or 20 to 25 pints of fruit annually when they mature in only 2 to 3 years. So therefore, we find that environmental justice communities, which are almost always located in food deserts, need to benefit from our important work. So we feel that right now funding is always a challenge for us and for our growing list of over 15 Pittsburgh partners. So we really applaud your efforts in funding our joint missions through the Food Justice Fund, and we thank you for your efforts.
Thank you. Our next registered speaker is Lisa Freeman. Lisa? Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Freeman, and I represent Manchester, City of Pittsburgh. I just really come before you to thank the council for all your work and all your support of this Food Justice Fund. I just want to report that on June 15th, or even before that. Last year, I received a very competitive grant, a federal grant, and was awarded $175,000. It was very competitive. And in the state of Pennsylvania, it was myself and Salim's. And you all know Salim's, they're doing the work at Shop and Save. So in order to put that into perspective, a Salim and a little Freeman family farm. Thank you. That federal grant also called me on June 15th, or called me before then and asked that, Ms. Lisa, we want you to be in Washington, and we want you to present to Congress. And they flew me out and had me stay there, and it was very nice. That was a one-of-a-kind opportunity. There was only 4 of us there. One was from Kansas, one was from Georgia, one was from Tulsa, and myself representing Pennsylvania. I was so proud to be upon that board and hear the stories, how they also received those grants, and some of those grants were leveraged and pivoted in raising an additional $2.2 million of that small. They were emphasizing how that small grant brought about great rewards. And I sat next to someone from Oklahoma, and that's Tulsa, Oklahoma. And that, in my history, was life-changing. Life-changing. Black Wall Street, and I'm sitting right next to him. And I was more proud than I could when I got up there to say, yeah, but I'm from Pittsburgh. And they just appointed a $3 million food justice fund. We are doing something great here in Pittsburgh. Something great. And before I left, someone from the Courier, or not the Courier, but the Northside Chronicle had came and they wanted to do an article on me. And because I had money previously, we've broken ground and we've started our construction. And not only a food desert, but there's a hope desert. I have an Asian engineer, I have a black architect, a black lawyer, a white general contractor, and I have black men who live in our community working on our building. And that hope is alive. When I was working at the school garden and those little drug boys was out there, little did I know, 9 years later, that drug boy's father, who spent 20 years in a federal prison, is working at my farm.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Our next registered speaker is Dolores J. Thrower. Dolores, online? Not online? In the audience? Dolores, last chance. Our next registered speaker is Don Mahaney. Don? He's online?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here today. My name's Don Mahaney. I am from Troy Hill. I own the restaurant Scratch & Co. in the neighborhood. And prior to working as a restaurateur, I spent a number of years working in health and human services with primary care health services in Pittsburgh Mercy Health System, where I did some strategic planning based on community health needs. And every year, the same few things came up, and included in that as a driver of population health issues were access to fresh and local foods. And we know that in our neighborhood in Troy Hill, we are without a proper grocer and are looking to invest in our now defunct fire station to turn it into such a grocer through perhaps a cooperative model, perhaps a nonprofit model. We're struggling to sort of determine what the best use of a capital stack would be that we can raise to those ends. I have to say, aside from giving thanks to the City Council and to the Mayor's Office and Director Vargas, that I want to give thanks to everybody else who has been here giving testimony about all of their projects and the impact that this fund can have on their home communities. I see, to echo some of the comments recently made, an incredible swelling of pride in our city and in our neighborhoods, and us working together to really ameliorate generations of disinvestment in our communities, and this fund can go a long way to making that happen. So thank you for your time, thank you for the effort, and thank you everybody for putting your backs into the work in your home communities.
Thank you. Our next registered speaker is Jody McLaughlin. Jody? She's online.
Hello.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Jody McLaughlin, and I'm a member of the Food Justice Fund Committee, and I'm also an intern with the Pittsburgh Food Policy Council as part of my requirements to complete my master's in public health. I want to thank Council for establishing and investing in the Food Justice Fund. I especially would like to express gratitude to Councilwoman Gross and Councilperson Warwick. I would also like to express gratitude to Mayor Ed Gainey and his administration. And most importantly, I want to thank Director Catherine Vargas, who has been an amazing collaborator in developing the proposed plan and ensuring it maintains its original intent while meeting government requirements. As a graduate student, my primary focus of study has been food justice and its impact on community empowerment and collective efficacy. Food justice isn't new. It started informally in the 1960s by community-level organizations and activists. However, it's taken several decades for it to find its way to the government level. And it largely has to do with recognizing that in order for real change to take place, it has to come from two places. One, all levels of government need to invest in repairing system and structural inequities, such as food apartheid. And two, solutions for those historical equities need to come from the very communities that have been oppressed. It's with great optimism that I state the City of Pittsburgh is doing that with the passage of the Food Justice Fund proposal. The proposed plan prioritizes grassroots community-led organizations, as well as creates opportunities for capital investments in the local food system, both of which are desperately needed. One of my tasks during my internship was to identify community organizations and Black-led businesses that could receive the RFP once it was available. And at that time, I identified over 200 potential recipients, and I'm confident that more will self-identify once this is available. As well, during the time that we've been doing our outreach, I've learned a lot about the unique neighborhood-based needs regarding food access. As a committee, we've worked diligently to ensure a racial and geographically diverse group was involved in shaping the plan being presented to you today. We've also considered the technical support and staffing needs, and we've developed a reporting mechanism to capture measurements and outcomes for the funded projects. This is all done with the intention of presenting a plan that will meet community needs while providing the structural foundation that it needs to, in order for it to be successful. I respectfully ask you to pass the proposed plan, and after its passage, continue to work with the Food Justice Fund Committee and the Food Policy Council. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. And it's my understanding that Dolores J. Thrower is online. You unmuted her? Okay. Dolores J. Thrower.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for the opportunity to be able to present on behalf of the Food Justice Fund project that needs to be moved forward as quickly as possible. My name is Dolores J. Thrower. I am the pastor of Pittsburgh Higher Ground Praise Ministry, where we do have a food pantry there in Observatory Hill. I live in Perry Hilltop, but the food pantry in which we serve from is at Observatory Hill. I've only been there, it'll be a year. July 10th, we've opened our pantry up in August. We serve over 100 people already, and we're open twice a month, the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. And there is so much a need for fresh vegetables to continue in our pantry. They come there looking for cabbage and fresh greens and fresh peppers and corn and all the fruits that they can get because the prices are outrageous in the grocery stores. Now, I would like to say that I serve just brown people, which just is not true. We serve Caucasians, we serve Africans, we serve, of course, the brown Black people. So I see a diverse a group of people that come into our pantry that are in need. So we're just praying and hoping that this food justice fund moves forward as quickly as possible. And we want to, I personally want to thank Councilwoman Gross and Warwick and the mayor's office in support of what is going on here. I'm new in the game, but I definitely see the need for our people. And being in Observatory Hill, you would think that there's not a need, but there is. Just because you drive a car does not mean you don't have a need. You got to remember, do I want to pay my car note or do I want to buy food? Do I want to get my medicine or do I want to buy food? So there's still a need. And so just to piggyback on everything that Joanne Deming has said earlier on in as his first speaker, I just want to just say I'm in agreement with all that was spoken. And that's it for me today. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Our next registered speaker is Naomi Mullen. Naomi Mullen? Naomi?
J.D. Deal in Bonn.
Good morning, Naomi. Naomi, your phone's breaking up. She's gone. Call back, Naomi, and we'll try to get you back on. Jenna DeFrancisco? Online? Jenna DeFrancisco, not in the audience either. Next speaker is Ahoheb Chanakuin. I'm sorry for pronouncing it the way I did.
Greetings, in my King, mighty honest delight in you. I am an Aborigine American matriarch, and my title is Yajalaji Chanal Ki'in, located in the Delaware Territory, as you all will call Pittsburgh. My statements today are to invoke my people's constitutional indigenous rights. We are the original beings, the original stewards of our ancestral lands, the Americas, including the islands, the Onwe from our great law of peace. My people are acknowledged in multiple maxims of law and documents, such as the Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, and excluding Indians not taxed, the Delaware Treaty, the Northwest Ordinance, the ADRIPT, the UNDRIPT, House Congress Resolution 331, 100 Congress Second Session, and the list continues. The city is under the jurisdiction of the state is under the jurisdiction of the government. Are you going to honor your oath to the Constitution? Are you going to continue to commit 18 U.S. Code 2381 treason, 18 U.S. Code 1091 genocide, forced assimilation, eugenics, colonization, 18 U.S. Code 242 deprivation of rights under the color of law, 18 U.S. Code 241 conspiracy against rights, and the list continues of the nefarious actions against my people, the Aborigine Americans. Uphold your oath to the Constitution. Uphold your Ajatisco folk ancestors' oath. Uphold your Slav ancestors' oath to the Constitution. We are not to be confused with Title 25 Native Americans, who are the immigrants, the foreigners, the citizens, and the naturalized citizens under the jurisdiction of the United States, which is a corporation, aka a business. You are on stolen land, and you are so-called acquiring stolen resources. Are you going to continue to walk in the footsteps of your many nefarious immigrant ancestors, such as Walter Ashby Plucker, a physician, the first Virginia State Register of Vital Statistics from 1912 to 1946, a promoter of eugenics, a discredited movement nefariously pressuring state agencies to reclassifying my people as colored. The policy's legacy was effectively to erase Indians as a identity and has made it difficult for Indians, so-called, to gain state federal recognition. My people, the Aboriginal Americans, have been reclassified as so-called Indian, colored, Negro, Black, African American. We cannot be from two places at once. We cannot be immigrants or foreigners. We have not been naturalized. We have not taken the 10 steps of naturalization. We are, again, the original beings, the original stewards of the Americas, the only way from our great law of peace. And I yield.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ann Sanders. Ann Sanders? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Council. My name is Ann Sanders, and I reside in Observatory Hill. I am also a member of the Pittsburgh Food Policy Council and the Director of Public Benefits Policy at Just Harvest. First and foremost, I'm here today to thank Council for their investment in the Food Justice Fund in the city budget last December, and I am excited about the potential and impact that this fund will have. I am thankful for the hard work that was done by community members and Director Vargas's office, Councilwoman Gross, Councilwoman Warwick, in developing this proposal that is being introduced today that will invest in an equitable food system and address needs across communities across the city, while also fulfilling the legal requirements of ARPA and how the funds are dispersed. The legislation and the proposal being introduced today meets the goals of targeting communities that lack access to healthy food, supporting the work of small organizations and businesses that you've heard from already today, as well as many, many others across the city, and investing in larger projects that improve the city's overall food infrastructure. The proposal comes, as most of you know, after years of work, lots of community input, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing it roll out and start impacting people's lives, and strengthening all of the hard work that is already being done in our communities by people that are, literally digging in the dirt, making it happen. And this extra resource will really help bring fruit to their great work. All of the puns intended, I guess. So I hope that City Council will review and quickly pass the proposal that's being introduced today. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go back to Naomi Mullen. Naomi Mullen.
Thank you.
Good morning.
I don't know how we got connected, but thank you.
You're welcome.
The Pennsylvania State Constitution says the government was created for the peace, safety, and happiness of we the people. Decisions and actions that harm the people are not acceptable. There are elected and appointed officials that have proven themselves to be enemies. The Public School Board of Pittsburgh has zero regard for the rights and property owners, taxpayers, citizens, and voters in the Bon Air community. We do not consent to the detrimental school buildings remaining in our community. We do want a green space to replace the building and improve the location. This is the least that can be done to repair the loss that has occurred. The public servants of the school board shall work with the community to the best of their ability. It was fraudulent to claim that the community approved apartments there. The school board has proven itself as detrimental. Will you be part of the solution? On Saturday, April 29th, we had a meeting for Bon Air Green Space. Again, no one from the Board of Education showed up. Also, not a single citizen wanted anything other than a green space to replace the school building. Our voices are being ignored from Bon Air. We are being harmed. This is inexcusable. The dictatorial, superior approach of Pittsburgh Public Schools is abhorrent to the people, with a government that was created of the people and for the people. Jessica Benham and Anthony Coghill both attended our community meeting. Thanks to our elected state representative and city councilman for being there. Even current Pittsburgh Public School employees have said the solution is to tear the building down and create a green space. Shady trees, not shady deals in Bon Air. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra Cole McCamey.
Good morning. I want to say thank you to everyone who has something to do with the Food Justice Policy Fund. And I will say that my name is Sandra Cole McCamey. I'm a longtime resident out in the Hazelwood community. I've been living out in the community for years, even when the steel mill was up. I know that we had like 3 grocery stores out in our community at that time. That's when it was flourishing out there. But ever since the steel mill had closed down, then we had no stores. And the only stores we have right now is really like corner stores. But the stores that we have is, they're like the stores that's going to Sam's Club and then coming back in the community selling us. Like if they get a box of DiGiorno pizza, they're selling those for $10 a piece and they only bought it for $15. So we don't need that in our community. What we need is a grocery store, and we've been fighting for this grocery store forever now. So I want to take this time and really thank you guys for sitting here listening, knowing what the need is in these communities, because y'all know what the needs are. So we're just asking that you do the right thing and pass it and get us that money as soon as possible so that we can continue to do the work that we're doing out in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen O'Brien.
Good morning. My name is Stephen O'Brien. I live in downtown, and I am the advocacy coordinator for the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, member of the Pittsburgh Food Policy Council, and the Food Justice Fund Coalition. I would first like to give my thanks to this council for including the Food Justice Fund in the final budget in an effort to address food apartheid that exists across the city, with special thanks to Council President Cale Smith and Council members Warwick and Gross for their leadership, as well as many members of council, including Councilman Coghill, Councilman Wilson, and others that met with us to discuss this plan. I would also like to extend my gratitude to Mayor Gainey and his administration for their support, with a special thanks for Director Catherine Vargas. Her leadership has been and continues to be invaluable for the success of this fund. The plan before council is the product of the hard work and collaboration of the people behind me and more, including food growers, food producers, retailers, restaurateurs, organizers, anti-hunger advocates, and really so many more that are not here today. It was embraced by Director Vargas, and working together, it meets the charge put forward by this council just 7 months ago. The proposed plan prioritizes investments in grassroots, community-led organizations and is designed to uplift the needs of each individual community across all 9 council districts. It will provide the capital and technical assistance needed to meet the moment that we're in, because we learned because of the pandemic the fragility of our food system and just how important it is that we are not relying upon others but relying upon ourselves, because only we can meet that need. So I ask that this council will continue to support the Food Justice Fund today and in the future, and if possible, expedite its final passage so we can get these very critical funds out to the people that need it the most. Thank you.
Joy Dorr. Joy? Joy online? Sarah Baranskis? Please say your name when you come up with.
Yeah, that was right. Good morning. My name is Sarah Baranskis, and a week ago I moved from the north side to Stanton Heights, so a newly minted District 9 resident. I work for the Pittsburgh Food Policy Council, and because of that, I get to see so much of the incredible work that happens across the city to increase access to healthy food, to ensure residents can access essential government programs like SNAP and WIC, to grow fresh food and bring neighbors together, and to support small food businesses. We hear from small stores that take the extra time and additional cost of driving to pick up produce so they can stock and provide it for their neighbors who don't live near a supermarket. We work with gardens that have devoted years to caring for soil, produce, and their community, even though they don't own the land they help to transform. We advocated with farmers markets across the city to ensure they could operate as a safe point for food access when the pandemic shut everything down. Many of these partners do their work because they want to improve life for their families and neighbors, and they do so with no or limited funding. I want to talk briefly about the Northside Food for the Soul Community Garden, a space dreamt into being by Farmer Girl Ebb and grown with support from our partner organization, Grow Pittsburgh. The space is tended by a committed group of neighbors, some of whom are present today. The welcoming environment they've created was immediately clear the day I showed up as a volunteer when I first moved to the North Side. I arrived 4 months pregnant and continued to waddle over to the garden as my belly got bigger. The guardians of the garden, Miss Emily, Liz, Zarina, and Ebony, gave me easier jobs, so lots of weeding the bigger I got. And then in the spring, I got to go back with my baby, where she was happily passed around to their different sets of arms. I just wanted to paint a small picture of the types of spaces that investment in these community assets can create, and why I think supporting efforts like this through the Food Justice Fund is so important. We thank you for your investment in the Food Justice Fund. We thank Councilwoman Deb Gross, Barb Warwick, and Teresa Kale-Smith for their leadership. And we're asking your support for this plan for the Food Justice Fund being presented. The plan was created with consistent and broad input from many of our partners changing the Pittsburgh food system. And it presents a unique opportunity for the city of Pittsburgh, as Lisa highlighted, to support and recognize the transformative work of so many of our partners.
Thank you. Michael Blackwell, he's online, correct? Michael Blackwell.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is La Teresa, and my husband is Michael Blackwell. We live in the Marshall-Stateland community. We are proud owners of Cafe on the Corner. I want to thank you for having us to come before you to be a voice to speak on behalf of our community today. I would like to thank the council, especially Councilwoman Gross and Warwick, for your investment in the Food Justice Fund. I want to give a special thanks to Ed Gainey, Mayor Ed Gainey, and his staff and their support to this bill. I would also like to thank Director Vargas for your collaboration and support in developing this proposal that's going to meet the needs, the real felt needs of our community. In my community, the Food Justice Fund would help us in so many ways. As a residential business, we are a residential cafe restaurant in our community where we see the real felt needs of those who are suffering from food injustice. And during the pandemic, we were able to feed over 60,000 residents in our community fresh prepared meals daily. And so we were able to prepare those meals and distribute those meals because what we bring to the table is we have the space, we have the years of experience. My husband has over 40 years of experience in the industry. And we also live here in our community where we see the real felt needs. And so I am excited for the impact that this fund is going to have on our community for those of us who are on the ground, in the trenches, doing the real work that needs to be done. We know that disinvestment has failed our community for decades with food disparity. And bringing this bill to fruition is going to help those who are on the ground and already doing the work. We have put in many long manpower hours, in-kind hours, our own research we have put in to make sure that no family, no child went hungry, especially during the pandemic. But we are not out of the woods yet. And we need these funds to be put into the right places, in the right communities, in the right hands to be able to make food insecurity a thing of the past. It's one thing for us to say it, but we have to put feet to what it is that we are trying to accomplish. I want to also thank Johanna Deming, who is the executive director for the food policy. I want to thank her for allowing us this opportunity to come before you to again speak on behalf of what is a real felt need. Again, thank you for having us, and we look forward to this bill passing and making an impact in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. So that was both of them. Okay, I just want to make sure that I don't have to call anybody else. Our next registered speaker is Emily Wiggins. Emily Wiggins. Oh, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Emily Wiggins. I'm from District 6 or Manchester. Food for the Soul Community Garden member. I'm thankful to all parties that have worked on this proposal. Special thank yous to Councilwoman Deb Gross, Barb Warwick, and Teresa Kell Smith, and thankful to the Mayor's Office and Director Vargas. I've lived in Manchester over 47 years and have reaped many of the benefits in fresh produce from the Freeman Family Farm, which is just down the street from our community garden. Growing up, my father always had a garden. We were required to work in the garden, but I didn't know of what exceptional or specialties we had, growing our own food. I hated working in the garden. Since the Food for the Soul and Community Garden, I realized the importance of food sustainability and providing your own food. It's a peaceful, amazing activity to take part in. I love digging in the dirt and weeding and, just working with others in the community. It's also amazing to see the food growing week to week. Sorry. We don't have any stores in our area. We always have to go outside of Manchester. We do have a mobile unit from Giant Eagle that comes every Sunday, but that's, just in an effort to provide foods. So I am hoping for continued support in the food justice funding to provide sustainable food that we grow ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last registered speaker, oh no, I'm sorry, we have one more after that, is Chief Poma Chakmam Yahali He.
Grand Rising, everyone. And Lakek Alakain, delighted me, honors delighting you all. Thank you for pronouncing my title so beautifully, Teresa Kell Smith. I am a Grand Inca chief, and I am East Poma Chakmam Yahali. Aboriginal American Indigenous are absolutely the most marginalized people upon our ancestral lands, as we are the only people not foreign to our ancestral American homeland. I have put my own hours, time, and my own currency to create a pathway to good food for all people in many areas in this territory, and I've worked with many groups. And what is evident is indigenous peoples have not been considered until I and my group and my people have brought it to the light. So as a Food Justice Fund member or steering committee member, United States, the United Way Food Fund, and also former co-chair of the Urban Ag Working Group, Pittsburgh Food Policy Council, or Trolley, former member of Bugs, working with Grow Pittsburgh and Green Grocer and other food producers to bring food and resources into the Lincoln, Leamington, Chadwick food apartheid community during COVID. I've done a lot of work with a lot of groups, and we have not received the same reciprocity. I'm also the founder of EPA, Food Forestry, Agriculture, and Arts and Culture. And what I've noticed is there is a miscommunication of who we are. I have been a grassroots land steward, assisting in the creation of the farm in Homewood and working for years with the Black and Brown, identifying peoples on various projects. And I stress the importance of the Aboriginal Indigenous food forestry, replacing the landscape with indigenous fruits and vegetables and herbs and grains as it once was prior to colonization. Our lands don't look the same. But we have an opportunity through this fund and with city council's approval of this fund and with the mayor's support of this fund to restore some of the lands that hasn't looked in the past. In Homewood and Lincoln and Larmer, and I'm sure other communities, most people can remember, if they're in their 50s and older, that there were fruit trees everywhere, that you can find patches of berries here and there, and there was wild greens that grew all over the place, and wild parsley and various other herbs, wild sage, and these were everywhere. So there wasn't really a homeless, or I should say a issue where people were starving in the communities like we are today, because there was always accessible food growing right around you, right around the corner. And that is what I intend and continue to push throughout this nation, that food forestry is a very important foundation of replacing what was once, restoring what was once. I worked with the USDA. It was one of the first to, and this is a historical event, for the 2501 grant, which was set aside for the many farmers who lost lands back in the 60s and the 50s, and they didn't get reciprocity. And this grant was then made so that outside people would actually review these grants as opposed to the USDA because of the fraud. And I was one of the first to sit with other indigenous people and people identifying as Black and brown and white.
Thank you. And our last registered speaker is Jamie M. Christian.
Good morning. Thank you to City Council and Mayor Gainey's office for including the Food Justice Fund in the 2023 budget. My name is Jamie Marie Christian. I am the founder and executive director of an organization called Let Us Turn Up the Beat. We are based out of Carrick. Thank you also to Councilwomen Gross, Warwick, and Cal Smith for your leadership and support. Thank you to Director Vargas and the Food Justice Fund Task Force, especially Ms. Jody and Mr. Sam, who have so beautifully crafted this great plan. You're all rock stars in my eyes. Peas and carrots, carrots and peas. Add some bok choy, if you please. Soil, seed, water, and sun. Growing a garden is so much fun. I know you're all looking at me like, what is this lady talking about? What I recited is a poem I wrote in collaboration with my youngest son, who is now 4. We wrote it for a preschool program that I created during the pandemic. We wrote it so that children can understand companion planting. Companion planting is a permaculture technique which helps a garden environment thrive. Companion plants help each other grow, and ag ed programs not only teach problem solving, better nutrition, and how to grow food, but also how to grow as individuals and work together. These skills are important, but one of the key elements of ag ed, which is also a key element of sustainability, is interdependence. Of course, we want people to be autonomous, responsible, and considerate when making decisions, but independence is important, and interdependence is equally important. To grow, thrive, and be a prosperous, sustainable city, we need each other. We need to work together. There are great programs that have been created over the past decade within the city of Pittsburgh, like the Land Bank and Adopt-A-Lot and City Farms/Farms, but they're not thriving. These are fantastic ideas. However, standing alone, they're not making an impact, not the impact that they could be making if they were working in tandem and with another leg to support them. When I speak of interdependence, I don't just mean within city programs, but also within the city itself. There are farmers, nonprofit organizations, and city leadership who could be working together, but are not. The Food Justice Fund can support ag ed programs as well as opportunities to improve food access through fresh market projects. Projects like Native Nosh, which my organization has been trying to get off the ground for 3 years. It's shovel ready, but with no funding, we can't dig. It's very, very much needed, and I know I'm not the only organization in that position. We're already connecting the dots by linking, within my organization, by linking urban and rural farms and food producers through a hub that we created called ARI. And we're connecting the dots through the Food Justice Fund. It's not only a source of funding, but also a way for us to continue to connect those dots and grow abstract thinkers. Thinkers like myself and the great folks behind me.
Thank you.
Who I thank so much for all of your hard work and partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That exhausts our list of registered speakers. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address City Council? Please approach the podium.
Hi, my name is Jordan Schoenberger. I'm a resident of Brookline and Executive Director of Abiding Missions in the Allentown neighborhood, part of the Allentown contingent here. We've been working diligently over the last few months and before that to make sure that our community has what it needs. And right now it is apparent and has been apparent for some time that food is something that our community needs through the work with Leadership Pittsburgh, being able to see what those survey results have been. I do thank City Council, Council President Teresa Kale Smith to make sure that this funding is coming through and that it comes through quickly to our organizations. I do think that there is a focus on community-based organizations in this funding cycle. We are the organizations that are in the community, boots on the ground, the ones getting our hands figuratively and literally dirty to do this work. My organization focuses on food distributions, but also working with the youth in our community, making sure that our youth know where food comes from. We partner with the Hilltop Urban Farm so that we have plots over there for our kids to farm and produce fruits and vegetables. While we've been sitting here, I received a text that the first fruits of the season are on their way to our organization that we can distribute at our food pantry this week, which is really exciting. We are organizations that work together. We're organizations that know the people that we're serving, that are going to make sure that this happens. We're the ones that are, that they not necessarily care the most, but we care deeply for the folks and the neighbors that we have in our communities. And I hope that this funding comes through quickly, and I appreciate all the work that has gone to it with the Justice Fund and with the committee putting it together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Good morning.
Good morning. I did register, but I got here a little bit late, so you may have missed me. My name is Carolyn Cassavan, and I am a sustainability consultant. I have an office in the Energy Innovation Center up on Bradford. And I've been involved in a program like this before for energy and water efficiency, where it really supported the local community groups to be able to provide that kind of information and support to their communities. And it was a very successful program. So not only do programs like this address the issue of food justice, but they also help these community groups grow and become a lot more productive in their communities. They know their communities, as people have said, but I've just heard so many different approaches here and the solutions, and we can't know those solutions. It's really the people in the communities that know those solutions. And so I really support programs like this because it is this investment in an existing infrastructure, and I really have had the chance to see that here coming back to Pittsburgh recently. And it's just amazing all the different groups out there and how much they're doing. So I think this is really going to strengthen that infrastructure, and it's a great investment in the city and our people that are trying to help the city, as well as addressing food justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers? Ms. Brown, wishing to address City Council? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live up on Bedford and Katie Irvis. I wanted to deviate a little bit. I want Miss McCollum. You hear her when she calls in all the time. Okay. When she came here, we went and we had lunch together, and we were talking. I asked her, "This McCollum, was that Sheriff McCollum?" And she said, "No, they're no kin." And then she asked me, where did I live at? And I said I lived at the KB Irvis Tires up on Bedford. And her face, she said, "Oh, her husband, now he's dead, but her husband had to come to the building, chief of the fire department, had to come to the building for something that happened there. And he told her that those people up there, how we were being mistreated and were treated very badly. Now that's what she said. And you know how she said he was a good old boy. He took care of people. He listened to people. He knew that we had a problem. I come down here to tell you about the problems we have. It don't seem like you care. But I also want you to talk about this food fund. I want people to understand that when they had the Shop and Save up on Center Avenue, Shop and Save, we had the elderly citizen that lived at 917 Webster Avenue. She could get down to the Shop and Save, but to get back, we didn't have a bus. She caught me downtown. She said, go tell them at City Council, it makes no sense. She said, I can get a bus down the hill, but I must come through town to get back up 2 streets up. I must come through town. This is what I've been telling you. We do not have a bus, and it don't have to be bus. I think maybe I messed up. I should say, like, we could have a shuttle. I see shuttles. I live up there. I see shuttles sitting in the parking lot across from where I live at. We could have a shuttle, not a bus, but some way to get us down. There's 190 apartments. Do you understand? It's not a little building, 190. And K.D. Irvis fought for us. He fought in order that we could have a place to live. And I would like to say something to you two, especially you two black ones, Mr. Lavelle and Mr. Burgess. Please do not text while everybody's talking. You just didn't pay no attention. They're texting, I couldn't see the rest of them. But at one time they had a meeting, 5 of them, and 4 was texting, so that means there was only 1 at the meeting. Oh, please excuse me, I'm getting, please excuse me. Do you know I'm tired? I've been coming down here for many years, and I'm not coming down just for myself. I could stop coming. My time is up.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Are there any further speakers wishing to address City Council? Are there any further speakers wishing to address City Council? Seeing no further speakers, we'll move on to our next order of business, which is the presentation of papers, and we'll begin with Councilman Reverend Ricky Burgess, Chair of Human Resources. Councilman Burgess.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Reverend Burgess presents Bill Number 1681, Resolution providing for the filing of applications by the Commonwealth of PA Department of Human Services for grants in connection with the Joint Jobs Initiative Program Employment Advancement and Retention Network, and providing for the authorization to enter into agreements with various agencies and to pay for expenditures for costs to support, implement, and administer the program. Cost not to exceed $3,828,594. And Bill Number 1698, Ordinance supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title 9, Zoning, Article 4, Planning Districts, Chapter 909, Plan Development Districts, Section 909.01, SP, Specially Planned District, 909.01.P, SP 9, Bakery Square, by supplementing the certain provisions of Chapter 909.01.P with the addition of a new section, 909.1.PCF.
Madam President.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the rules for 2023-1698, so it will appear on today's Standing Committee meeting.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. The bill will appear on today's Standing Committee agenda. Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman Coghill, Chair of Public Safety and Wellness.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Gross, Chair of Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Gross presents Bill Number 1682, Resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 2118 Fifth Avenue.
Thank you. And Councilman Kraus, Chair of Public Works and Infrastructure. Councilman Kraus? See one?
Pardon, sorry, Madam President.
Councilwoman Gross for Councilman Cross. Thank you.
Councilman Cross presents Bill number 1683, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of public works on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into an agreement or agreements with the Center for Employment Opportunities to grant a license to enter onto certain city-owned parcels for the purpose of performing certain work, including maintenance and beautification services that fall outside the regular work assigned to city employees at no cost to the city. Bill 1684, resolution amending Resolution 194 of 2022, which authorized the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Works to execute relevant agreements to authorize the Pennsylvania Resource Council providing electronic waste collection and recycling services for city residents by adding an additional 1 year for an amount not to exceed $175,000. And Bill number 1685, resolution authorizing the mayor, the director of the Department of Finance, and the director of the Department of Public Works on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into an agreement or agreements with Duquesne Light Company, granting it a permanent utility easement for the erection, installation, use, operation, maintenance, repair, and removal of cables, switches, and transformers in order to service and provide power to electric vehicle charging stations and other fixtures and apparatuses thereto upon, over, along, across, under, and through city property located at 2945 through 3001 Railroad Street, Lot and Block 25B15, for use by electric-powered city sanitation trucks at no cost to the city.
Thank you. And Councilman Lavelle, Chair of Finance and Law.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Lavelle presents Bill number 1686, resolution approving the use plan for the $3 million food justice funds as allocated in the city's American Rescue Plan pursuant to Resolution number 762 of 2022. Bill number 1687, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Precise Discovery in an amount not to exceed $5,401.18 for professional services related to electronic document storage. Bill number 1697, resolution further amending Resolution number 855 of 2011, effective December 29, 2011, as amended, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2011 Capital Budget and the 2011 Community Development Block Grant Program and the 2011 through 2016 Capital Improvement Program by reducing District 6 neighborhood needs by $77,662.79 and increasing housing development by $77,662.79.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Strasburger, Chair of Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilperson Strasburger presents Bill number 1688, resolution providing for the designation of certain public properties within the Hayes and St. Clair neighborhoods to be formalized and adopted as a city park at no immediate cost to the city. Bill number 1689, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of Parks and Recreation to enter into a sponsorship agreement with the Music Performance Trust Fund for the Community Concert Series, from which the city will receive a fee in the amount of $2,631.22. And Bill number 1690, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of Parks and Recreation to enter into a sponsorship agreement with the University of Pittsburgh Government Relations and Advocacy Office for the Community Concert Series, from which the city will receive a fee of $2,500.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Warwick, Chair of Innovation, Performance, Asset Management, and Technology.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Wilson, Chair of Land Use and Economic Development.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Wilson presents Bill number 1691, ordinance accepting a new street name, Cougar Circle, in the 14th Ward of the City of Pittsburgh, as per recommendation by the City of Pittsburgh Addressing Committee. The following street name was approved by CPAC in May 2023. The name listed in this ordinance shall be made official in accordance with the Pittsburgh Code, Title IV, Public Places and Property, Chapter 420, Uniform Street Naming and Addressing. Bill number 1692, ordinance accepting a new street name, Principal Lane, in the 18th Ward of the City of Pittsburgh, as per recommendation by the City of Pittsburgh Addressing Committee. The following street name was approved by CPAC in May 2023. The name listed in this ordinance shall be made official in accordance with the Pittsburgh Code, Title IV, Public Places and Property, Chapter 420, Uniform Street Naming and Addressing. And Bill number 1693, ordinance accepting two new street names, Composite Street and Battery Street, in the 15th Ward of the City of Pittsburgh, as per recommendation by the City of Pittsburgh Addressing Committee. The following street names were approved by CPAC in May 2023. The names listed in this ordinance shall be made official in accordance with the Pittsburgh Code, Title IV, Public Places and Property, Chapter 420, Uniform Street Naming and Addressing.
Thank you. And myself, Chair of Hearings, I have one appointment and two communications. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Bill number 1694, resolution appointing Martina Battistone as a member of the Shade Tree Commission with a term to expire June 30th, 2027. Ms. Battistone will replace Rebecca Kiernan.
Thank you. What's the will of the body? Do you want to hold for an interview or read, receive, and file? She's been around the city for a while, I think. I'm comfortable passing.
Motion.
You okay passing? Okay. Motion to approve, then, please.
Receive and file.
Read, receive, and file. Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the appointment's approved. And two communications, Madam Clerk.
Bill number 1695, communication from Michael Lamb, City Controller, submitting the City of Pittsburgh's popular annual financial report for the year ended December 31st, 2022. And Bill number 1696, communication from Jake Pollock, Director of the Office of Management and Budget, submitting acting pay requests on behalf of the Department of Public Works for John Menard and Mike Schmidt per the acting pay policy revised in June 2018.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to read, receive, and file? Both.
So move.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to our next order of business, with the reports of committee for final action. And we'll begin with Councilman R. Daniel Lavelle, Committee on Finance and Law. Councilman Lavelle. Thank you. Thank
you. Councilman Lavelle presents Bill number 1676, reported to Committee on Finance and Law for June 28, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1614, resolution authorizing the issuance of 8 warrants with a total sum of $275,000. It is further understood and agreed that the payment schedule of the total settlement amount shall be as follows: $19,533.54 payable to Nicole Ruley, $19,533.54 payable to Nicole Ruley as legal guardian of AF, a minor, $19,533.54 payable to Charles Bryant Jr., $19,533.54 payable to Simon Phillips, $19,533.54 payable to Donovan Hayden, $19,533.54 payable to Jennifer J. Yoder, $19,533.54 payable to Christopher Wilson Juring, and $138,265.22 will be issued to the plaintiff's attorneys, O'Brien, Coleman, and Wright, LLC, for fees and expenses related to litigation filed in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania. Bill 1650, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant at a cost not to exceed $30,000 to be issued to Plaintiff Richard Nicholas's attorneys, law offices of Joel Sansone, in full and final settlement of litigation filed in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania. Bill 1651, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Lancelot Joseph Moncrief at a cost not to exceed $4,375 in settlement of a claim for damage to his stopped vehicle from a city police vehicle on August 3, 2022. Bill number 1652, Resolution further amending Resolution number 886 of 2021, effective December 27, 2021, as amended, entitled Resolution adopting and approving the 2022 capital budget and the 2022 Community Development Block Grant Program and the 2022 through 2027 Capital Improvement Program by reducing facility improvements, recreation and senior centers by 6 cents, reducing facility improvements, public safety facilities by $629,475.94, and increasing slope failure remediation by $629,476. And Bill number 1655, resolution transferring a total of $500 within the 2023 operating budget from council as a body to the Department of Parks and Recreation for the purpose of providing a donation for the Brookline Recreation Center's summer back-to-school event.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus. Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelsmith, President.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And that moves us on to Councilman Anthony Coghill, Committee on Public Safety and Wellness.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm thinking we should move the food hunger stuff under your committee.
Why is that?
Wellness.
Councilman Coghill presents Bill number 1677, reported at Committee on Public Safety and Wellness for June 28, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill number 1644, resolution amending Resolution 159 of 2023, which authorized a professional services agreement with Duquesne University for the purpose of spending grant funds not to exceed $150,500 to support the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police Inside Out training program to correct the type of authorized agreement. Bill number 1645, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Pulse Point Foundation in an amount not to exceed $6,000 for the city's share of the license fee for the annual renewal of the Pulse Point Emergency Services application. Bill 1646, resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in favor of Purvis Systems in an amount not to exceed $20,985 to provide a bypass timer switch for each Purvis Station alerting system control unit in every fire station. Bill number 1647, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Safety to enter into a professional service agreement or agreements with the Forbes Fund to provide technical and capacity building assistance to participants to the Stop the Violence Grant Program at an overall cost to the city not to exceed $192,300.
You've heard the reading and the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus. Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Ms. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Bless you.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelsmith, President.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. That moves us to Councilman Bruce Kraus, Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
Madam President or Madam Clerk, may I post I vote on the bills that I missed, please?
Yes, thank you, Councilman. Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Councilman Kraus presents Bill number 1678, reported at Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure for June 28, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill number 1648, resolution providing for a supplemental agreement or agreements with Michael Baker International, Inc. for costs associated with the Boundary Street and Sylvan Trail projects, providing for payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $2,514,006.81, an increase of $482,102 from the previously executed agreement as previously authorized by Resolution 262 of 2021.
Thank you. You've heard the reading and the title of the bill. Is there any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelsmith, President.
Aye.
9 ayes,
The
0
bill
noes.
the bill having received the legally required number of votes is finally passed. And that moves us on to Councilwoman Erica Strasburger, Committee on Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services. Thank you, Councilman.
Councilperson Strasburger presents Bill Number 1679, reported to Committee on Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services for June 28, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1653, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Parks and Recreation on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into a professional services agreement with Homewood Community Sports for community liaison services at an amount not to exceed $300,000.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bill. Is there any discussion on the bill? I'm just going to add that I talked to our solicitor, and he's good with this, correct? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? The bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus. Mr. Kraus.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelsmith, President.
Aye.
9 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you. The bill having received the legally required number of votes is finally passed. That moves us on to Councilwoman Warwick, Committee on Innovation, Performance, and Asset Management.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. This is our last committee of the day.
Councilwoman Barb Warwick presents Bill Number 1680, reported to Committee on Innovation, Performance, Asset Management, and Technology for June 28, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1654, resolution amending Resolution 378 of 2017, authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Innovation and Performance to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Allegheny County to receive a regular extract of the Allegheny County Property Assessment File and to authorize an amendment to the data sharing agreement at no cost to the city. And Bill Number 1675, resolution further amending and supplementing Resolution 539 of 2016 as amended, entitled authorizing the mayor, city clerk, and/or director of the Department of Innovation and Performance to enter into a contract or contracts or agreements with Granicus, Inc. for software upgrades, server hosting services, and annual maintenance of Legistar agenda management and video streaming in order to extend the contract an additional 12 months for an additional cost of $65,200.49 for a total cost not to exceed $436,906.10.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bill. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelsmith, President.
Aye.
9 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. That moves us on to motions and resolutions, and I have a few meeting announcements. I need to first call for an executive session as it relates to the Ethics Commission's response to the appointments. Can you call that for me?
So moved, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, and we'll get that scheduled with Madam Clerk. And due to yesterday's 4th of July holiday, Council Standing Committee's meeting is scheduled for 1:30 p.m. this afternoon. To register to speak, please fill out the sign-up form on the Council's meeting webpage or call the clerk's office at 412-255-2138 by noon today, when speaker registration will close. Is there anything from members? Seeing nothing from members, I just want to thank the City of Pittsburgh for hosting so many people again last night with the 4th of July fireworks and all the extra activities. I thank our City Parks and Special Events Office, Public Safety, and DPW all did an amazing job, and I apologize if there's somebody I'm excluding. I just want to thank them all for that. That said, can I have a motion to excuse the absent members? There's no absent members. Approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.